Hello again and welcome to another No Library Story Time. I've got two books for you today, and this one, we read another one by this a few sessions ago, but this one is called Just For You. Just For You. So I'm going to read it just for you. It's by Mercer Mayer. And you might have come across these before. We have a couple of them in the school library, I think. Anyway, this one starts with, this morning I wanted to make breakfast just for you, but the eggs were too slippery. Oops. I wanted to wash the floor just for you, but the soap was a bit too bubbly. I wanted to put away the dishes just for you, but the floor was too wet. I think that's what you call being a bit accident prone. Meaning he has a lot of accidents. I wanted to carry the groceries just for you, but what do you think? The bag broke. I ate my sandwich just for you, but not the crusts. Crusts are the best bit. It's a nice chewy bit. You need to eat those. I wanted to take a nap just for you, but the bed was too bouncy. I think we've all done that. I wanted to mow the lawn just for you, but I was too little. It's quite hard work pushing a lawnmower. I picked an apple off a tree just for you, but on the way home I got hungry. I wanted to set the table just for you, but the TV was too loud. I wanted to not splash in my bath just for you, but there was a storm. Oh, look at all that water on the bath, on the floor. Oh. I wanted to do something very special just for you. And I did it! What did he do? It's back here a page. He's giving his mum a big hug. And that was something very special and he did it, which is really nice. So there we go. Make sure you go and give your mum a hug. This one, I do know we have in the school library. It's one of my favourite books. This is The Story of Ferdinand. You might have heard this one before, but it's a great story. And this is by a chap called Munro Leaf. It's an unusual name. And the drawings, the illustrations have been done by Robert Lawson. And it's the story of Ferdinand, who's a bull. Big bull. Let's see what happens. Boy, this book's been loved and sellotaped together. Right. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump, and they would butt their heads together. Here they are, running around in the paddock. But not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favourite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favourite tree, and he would sit in the shade all day and he would smell the flowers. Such a nice thing to do, to spend time outside. Sometimes his mother would worry about him. She was afraid he'd be lonesome all by himself. Why don't you run and play with all the other little bulls and skip and butt your head, she would say. But Ferdinand would just shake his head. I like it better here where I can sit just quietly and I can smell the flowers. His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, and even though she was a cow, she let him sit there and be happy. And as the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was big and strong. Do you have one of those at your house? It's a marker to mark how tall you're getting. We've got one. Quite cool. I'm not getting any taller though. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. There they all are with their funny hats. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting and leaping and jumping so the men would think they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. But Ferdinand knew they weren't going to pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to his favourite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Ah! Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that is just what the bee did to Ferdinand. Can you see Ferdinand there? Look on his face. Looks a bit shocked. Wow, did it hurt. Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting and butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. There he is, being crazy. Crazy mad because he's got a bee sting on his bottom. The 5 men saw him and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight day, and they took him away in a cart. What a day it was. Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a big parade into the bullring. First came the bandolieros with long sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Next came the picadors who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. There's the bandolieros, there's the picadors on their skinny horses. Then came the matador, the proudest of them all. He thought he was very handsome, and he bowed to ladies, and he had a red cape and a sword, and he was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? It was Ferdinand. He's peeking around the door there. You can just see him. He doesn't look very fierce, does he? They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandolieros were afraid of him, and the picadors were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw all the flowers in the lovely lady's hair, and he just sat down quietly and he smelled them. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and he smelled the Bandoleros were mad, and the Picadors were madder, and the Matador was so mad that he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and his sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. There he is, sitting down in the ballroom, not doing much fighting. So they took him home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favourite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. There he is, under his cork tree. And to finish with, I'm going to read you a little poem. This is by Lucia and James L. Hines, and it's in this book here, Higgledy Piggledy Pop, my favourite poetry books. It's called Oodles of Noodles, and I'm sure you all like noodles. I love noodles. Give me oodles. Make a mound up to the sun. Noodles are my favourite foodles. I eat noodles by the ton. That's a huge bowl. Okay. We'll see you next time.